Hi guys, and welcome back. Can we please talk about a series that's living rent-free in my head and has been since 2010 when it aired on Nickelodeon? And that show is Victorious. Let's start with the disclaimer. I'm just going to talk about my opinions and my thoughts on the show, and you are obviously free to disagree with me as you please. This show was on a block segment of Nickelodeon's, Teen Nick, as it was called, which was a sister channel of Nickelodeon. It was supposed to show more shows, particularly aimed at teens, than the regular channel between 6 to 9 p.m. Victorious wasn't overly popular, only getting 4 seasons and no real ending. Compare that to iCarly's 6 seasons, as well as their new reboot. But it managed to gather a faithful fanbase that's to this day still rooting for a reboot of the show. The show's setting was at an arts high school, where they seemed to have classes in theatre with their old teacher Psychowitz.
It's your 10-year anniversary teaching here, and they gave you a 1-cup coffee maker?
Well, it may not be much, but as they say in Guatemala, me olvidé de ponerme calzoncillos.
That means I forgot to wear underwear.
Who was very odd, by the way. Music, film, and everything surrounding stage and film production. It was focused on a main cast of 6, all with very distinct character traits. Tori Vega was the main character, and she is also a person or a character that either I think you love or you hate. There has been a lot of debates, and I've seen a lot of videos about how Tori Vega was the worst character ever and the worst person ever, but I'm not so sure about that. But okay, that's not the point of this video, let's move on. Tori was a girl who was so talented that she was scouted for the school after doing a showcase in her sister Trina's place. We follow her as she tries to fit in at her new high school, learning to orient herself amongst her new classes and classmates. I think that her first real friend was Andre Harris, an extremely talented and happy-go-lucky guy. He is a musician who works hard on his craft and puts a lot of pride in what he creates. He seems to be nice towards everyone and is never intentionally mean or rude.
Give you a love that's true to your heart, na 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 na.
We have also Cat Valentine.
Kat! What? Shh! Your doctor said you weren't supposed to talk. He didn't say I couldn't say.
The aloof, odd and sort of stupid gal. She always seems to have a story to tell about her even weirder little brother.
My brother got shot by a clown. One time, my brother painted part of his body purple.
She is forgiving, effortlessly talented in many aspects, but doesn't seem to get any credit for it. And never seems to mind that fact either. Robbie Shapiro is probably the nerdy of the group. He happens to also be carrying a puppet named Rex everywhere he goes. Their relationship is very confusing, since Rex bullies Robbie more often than not, and the fact that Robbie essentially is Rex makes it even more confusing. Everyone around Robbie seems to look at him as being weird. We also have Beck Oliver. He is the boy with the hair and the looks. He is never really seen doing anything musically, except for one song sung with Tori in the first season. Other than that, his thing happens to be acting, unlike the majority of the main cast who happens to sing. He gives off the impression of being grounded, calm and logical in most situations. And last but not least, we have Jade West, who is the girlfriend of Beck. And she is a girl with a very troubled backstory.
Ice cream reminds me of my childhood.
You didn't have a happy childhood?
My favorite toy was a hammer. You finished the puzzle.
She doesn't get along with her parents, since they don't accept that she wants to pursue the arts as a career choice. She has the love for all things scary, dark and obscure, and comes off as sarcastic and sometimes even mean. As you probably know already without me telling you, it's a cast with a lot of talents. Most of them sing, dance and act. And some special talents are also in there. If I were to sum it up very broadly and stereotypical, it would sound something like this. Tori is the main character. Andre is the boy next door. Kat is the stupid blonde. Rob is the nerd. Beck is the boy with the looks. And Jade is the scary emo chick. Even though the character development wasn't incredible, the storylines were mostly based on their predetermined character traits, getting them into trouble and weird situations. A note here is that even though everyone on the cast is extremely talented, rarely anyone gets a solo except for Tori. Just something I thought about, and I know that a lot of people have thought about this before as well. But now that we've established the characters and the setting, let's talk about why it still has a fan base that I would say is very much alive. I blame it a lot on shipping culture, actually. So what is shipping culture, and how did Victorious handle it? Shipping culture is when a fan base pair two characters together, whether or not they actually are a couple in the show or not. It can be more or less intense, from individuals hoping to see their favorite pairing happen in the show, to spawning numerous fanfictions and a lot of fan art, turning almost obsessive. I myself have never really been a big fan or a big part of shipping culture. Not more than liking to see some characters end up and liking some pairings more than others. The obsessive part hasn't really gotten hold of me, and I've never really understood people who've gotten like that obsessive. But it's usually only fun and games when it comes to fictional characters. However, I'd advise anyone to stay away from shipping actual people. Don't do that. Nickelodeon also seems to shy away from shipping culture altogether in some aspects, always keeping status quo. If Jade and Beck, the only actual couple on the show, broke up, they always got together in the end. But Victorious gave me my very first ship, my first love for a pairing that never existed, and that was Jori. I wouldn't classify it as something obsessive, just a pairing that I rooted for and got slightly disappointed about when it never happened. I saw the potential for a queer storyline, and the thought of that gave it permanent residence in my brain. I saw the toxic relationship that Jade and Beck had, filled with jealousy, disregard for one another's feelings, and aloofness to their relationship as a whole, especially and mostly from Beck. He never seemed to care about Jade's jealousy. It seemed as though he got himself into situations just to spite her. Now we get into the dicey territory where everything is only speculations, theories, and personal opinions, so spare me the "you are wrong" shenanigan, because I already know I kinda am. But somehow Jori happens to be one of the biggest ships from the show, based on the number of fanfictions that has been created. Other popular ships are of course Bade, Beck and Jade, Bori, Beck and Tori, as well as Cabby, Kat and Robbie. But why is Jori still one of the most popular ones? It wasn't even canon. Well, so Nickelodeon isn't not to blame for some of this, dropping hints everywhere.
Don't be shy.
I've read somewhere that many theorize that Tori and Jade would have been a pair if it hadn't been on a Nickelodeon and a kids show. And I don't know about that, but I want to agree with them. I really do. But what evidence do we have? Well, Jade and Tori have the classical enemies to lovers trope going for them. Jade is also famously known to hate it when people touch her.
If you don't take your hands off me in the next 2 seconds, you won't have hands.
The only ones allowed to do so are boyfriend Beck and Tori for some reason.
Having fun there?
Tori is also the one who Jade goes to when she needs help. She goes to Tori and not to Beck.
Please, just please talk to Beck for me.
Why does Tori have an outfit and a wig that to the T looks like Jade? This one is just odd. They also went on a date.
You two must date. So, have fun.
With what?
Your date.
What date?
This one.
Given that it was set up by their drama teacher Psychowitz, but still, it was a date. And their drama teacher Psychowitz is also their biggest shipper. He always sets them up together, they are always married, they are always a couple in the shows and the theatres that he creates.
Nancy, loving wife of astronaut Walter Swain.
Astronaut Walter Swain, husband of Nancy.
I'm supposed to play her wife?
I'll just pick another card.
No! My box has spoken!
A Tumblr post also points out that before the episode Tori and Jade's playdate, Tori is seen wearing a necklace. But after that episode, Jade is the one wearing it. Why is that? We will probably never know. They also share flirtatious moments all over the show, insinuations that are just too obvious to ignore, according to myself and many others, I might add. I probably just missed a bunch of things, and I admit some might be far-fetched. But Nickelodeon seemed to have realized this very much loved ship in later days, and even released a video, Bay or Nay, focusing on Tori and Jade's relationship.
This time on Bay or Nay, we're cupping Tori and Jade.
And when did they do it? Well, the 25th of June 2021, which also happens to be Pride Month. Now, I know this ship isn't canon. Some ships are, like Beck and Jade, and Robbie and Kat. But this one, almost 10 years later, still lives rent-free in my head for some reason. I think it has to do with the amount of hints that could fuel a queer mind to hope for the possibility of a queer storyline and representation. I also admit that some of it might just have been overanalyzing, but still, I partly blame shipping culture, partly blame Nickelodeon, and partly blame myself for this. Before I leave this, I'd like to make it clear once more that these are only my opinions on fictional characters in a fictional universe, not facts. And you are very much entitled to yours as much as I am to mine, as long as they don't hurt anyone. So, with that out of the way, what are your thoughts, feelings, and opinions? Share your mind down below, and until next time, take care. Bye.